Well, here we are. I guess I can't complain. I really brought it on myself. It's time to talk about the 9th Hellraiser movie, Revelations. Yeah, it's that one. But first I want to talk about what happened in between this movie and the previous one. If you look at the dates when the last few movies came out, you'll notice a bit of a gap between Hellworld and Revelations. During that time, there was a lot of talk about a remake. At some point, Clive Barker was actually attached. Then later, neither he nor Doug Bradley were to be involved. You may have seen an image of a redesigned Pinhead floating around the internet around that time. That was done by Gary J. Tunnicliffe, I hope I'm saying that right, who has been doing the special effects on Hellraiser movies since Hell on Earth. By the time Bloodline happened, he was doing Pinhead's makeup and had become friends with Doug Bradley. Before that, he was a huge fan of the first two movies, so he's kind of an elevated fan. Good on him. But yeah, he had heard about a remake being talked about, where they were planning on redesigning Pinhead, so he decided to try his hand at it, just to kind of get it out there. There is a video about it, which I recommend watching. If nothing else, seeing the process is interesting, and it helps to understand why he did it. The general consensus is that it's too messy and chaotic. This is basically what Clive Barker thought, and I agree. Pinhead's original design is perfect. It has a very orderly feel to it, which suits his character when he's at his best. And even Gary agrees with that. If people looked at his design and it made them realize they wanted the original after all, he would have been fine with that. On its own, it is kind of a neat design. The eyes are cool too, but yeah, it definitely doesn't suit Pinhead. I think the internet has kind of forgotten about that, but it was kind of a big deal for a while, so I wanted to talk about it. Later, he did end up using the design for a different Cenobite in Hellraiser Judgment.
And then some asshole who's done nothing more than 3 videos of how to do coin tricks to say it sucks in their bedroom. You know, having done bugger all with their lives.
Don't hold back there, Gary. Tell us how you really feel. But obviously that remake never happened, and Dimension was about to lose their rights to the franchise, so they had to quickly shit out another sequel as fast as possible. So that's how Hellraiser Revelations came to be. It's kind of the Fant Four Stick of this franchise, though maybe that Roger Corman one would be a better example if it had gotten released. As I mentioned in the previous video, no Doug Bradley. They did approach him about playing Pinhead, but he declined the role. He said, "The ink is barely dry on the script, and it is scheduled to be in front of the cameras in 2 weeks' time and in the can by the middle of next month. The minuscule shooting schedule is more than matched by the budget." But naturally, he wished everyone involved with the project well. So it sounded like he just thought this movie was going to be a logistical nightmare. Then later he added that he, quote, "made a conscious decision not to do the movie based on the motives for making it and the poor quality of the script." So I guess he also didn't like the script, though if that's an issue I have to wonder why he agreed to Hellworld.
This is just the beginning. Adam was right. You believe Adam now? How's that for a wake-up call?
And finally, Clive Barker's reaction on Twitter went viral. "Hello, my friends. I want to put on record that the flick out there using the word Hellraiser is no fucking child of mine. I have nothing to do with the fucking thing. If they claim it's from the mind of Clive Barker, it's a lie. It's not even from my butthole." Don't hold back there, Clive. Tell us how you really feel. In all seriousness, that is pretty funny. But I think it's only fair to point out that he admitted later that he hadn't seen the trailer or read the script or anything. He was just reacting to other people's reactions to it, because that's what people do on the internet, I guess. So here we are. Let's find out if any Hellraiser movie is worse than Hellworld.
Like a bad horror movie, isn't it?
I have to admit that's hard to imagine. We're getting off to a great start with this title font. I mean, at least it doesn't remind me of Comic Sans like Deaders did, but something about the italics there just makes it extra cheesy somehow.
Did you bring the beers?
Yes.
And then, found footage. Didn't I say something about that when I talked about Halloween Resurrection? Yeah, when your horror sequel is ripping off the gimmicks of better horror movies, it's time to end it.
The plan is to get your dick wet.
I hate this. Please stop. I don't need constant close-ups of these guys' mouths. Okay, so these guys are Steven and Nico, who are on their way to Mexico to engage in some partying and all that entails.
Yes! Donkey show! In Tijuana! What? Tijuana!
Seriously, I cannot overstate how much I hate this camera work. Found footage does not have to look like that. Thank God I didn't have to watch this in the theater. It would have been so much more unbearable on a big screen. Sometime later.
The fucking car, man!
I hate to keep harping on the camera work, but if he hadn't said that, I don't know that I would have been able to piece together that the car was stolen. I guess Nico is the Frank Exby. I have to say the blue light coming out of the lament configuration was kind of a neat touch. Also, it's playing music. It hasn't done that in a while.
What the fuck is going on?
Come to think of it, I never thought about whether or not Cenobites would show up on film. And I guess the answer is yes. People have made fun of Pinhead's dialogue in this movie.
The box.
It's yours. Just get the fuck out of here.
No.
Okay, the no was kind of silly, but...
Opened it, summoned us, and we came.
So far, the rest is not too different from how he talked in the first one.
The box. You opened it. We came. We are the light in the darkness, empaths to higher sensation, guardians of ultimate experience. Explorers in the further regions of experience. Demons to some, angels to others.
By the way, first time I saw this, I wondered if they were going to always shoot Pinhead like this to get around Doug Bradley's absence. If only. At least the found footage bit ends about 4 minutes in as we cut to Steven's mom, Sarah, watching the video. So yeah, fortunately the whole thing isn't filmed this way. Wow, there's a lot of blue in this movie. Nice day for night shot.
Excellent, excellent meal. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So the elephant in the room is these are the families of the missing boys, and they get together for dinner fairly often, but they never talk about them, as Steven's sister and Nico's girlfriend Emma points out.
Why don't we ever talk about them?
Emma, please.
Please what, Dad? What, please forget that I had a brother? Please forget that my boyfriend disappeared with him?
Apparently they hired a private investigator, but didn't tell Emma anything about what was found, and she hasn't seen the tape.
Shut up!
Okay, here's Discount Pinhead. Just soak it all in. Obviously, there's going to be a lot to unpack, so I'll just save it for the end. But for now, just wow. What the hell? Either way, he's listening in on their conversation, because this is a thing Pinhead does now, apparently.
Save the shrink talk for your clients, Dad. Fucking assholes.
By the way, I love how this girl dresses. Just wear a top that shows off all of your chest and mimics a leather harness and corset to have dinner with your parents and their friends. Totally appropriate. So she goes into Steven's room and finally looks at the tape. Oh crap, the found footage is back. It's pretty boring. They just say Tijuana a lot.
We're in Tijuana. Tijuana. To Tijuana.
And point a camera at a woman and stumble with their Spanish.
Nico!
Anyway, Nico ends up doing her even though Steven apparently had dibs on her, and of course Nico's girlfriend is watching this. And apparently Emma can see them fucking even though Steven is clearly not filming that.
Oh my god.
Back to what happened in Mexico, Steven ends up passed out on the floor until Nico wakes him up, anxious to leave. And apparently he killed her.
What the fuck did you do?
I didn't do anything. It was a total accident, okay?
Now they're worried about going to jail and...
You filmed us fucking. How do you think that's gonna look in a jury? They even have juries in Mexico. Fuck!
Steven is about to erase all the footage of the woman, but Nico takes the camera to make sure they stay on the same side.
I would never do anything like that, Nico. Come on.
Boy, I sure care about these characters. They're such great people. Back to present time, Emma looks around some more and... Of course she finds the puzzle box, which alerts Pinhead. Dun, dun, dun. Back to the parents. Steven's dad thinks that maybe they should talk about what happened. Nico's mom really doesn't want to.
Can we just remember the way they were, not the way they were killed?
They think that the boys were probably murdered, but apparently the tape doesn't make it obvious, and Steven's dad can't think of why they would just run away.
Did Nico give any indication that he was gonna leave? He just started dating Emma. Shit, he was happy. And then he just sort of...
Went cold?
Did Emma say something to him? Or did she break up with him? I mean... Well, Emma, I didn't mean to suggest that.
I mean, you wanted to talk about it. All you had to say was that you don't know what happened either.
It was just a question.
Anyway, Emma starts playing with the box, and I guess she has a vision of Nico with hooks in his face.
Guys, it's Steven!
Well, that's some interesting timing.
Where's Nico? Is he out there?
He's covered in blood, but apparently not his own since he doesn't appear injured. Emma goes to call 911, but the line is dead. It's 2011, why doesn't anyone have a cell phone?
No signal, that's why we keep a landline.
Oh, there's no cell phone service in their area. At least there's an explanation for it, even though that's kind of odd.
It's all right, Steven. Save your energy.
Steven is afraid of someone finding him, obviously the Cenobites. Meanwhile, Nico's dad goes to bring the car around so they can take Steven to the hospital, but their cars are missing.
Emma, go get me some blankets.
So they just have to get Steven stabilized and keep him as comfortable as they can.
What the hell is happening here, man? I don't know. But whoever Steven's afraid of is not taking out the phone and the cars.
So the Cenobites stole their cars. GTA Hell? I'd play that.
Let him rest. We can ask him questions in the morning. Fuck that, man.
Poor Nico's dad really wants some answers. You can't really blame him.
If that was Nico and Steven was still missing, I'd be upset too. So we just have to stay calm and take care of Steven.
Steven's dad plans to walk to the highway in the morning.
Do you have a gun? Yeah.
What? Well, that was news to Mom. Hey, there's the torture pillar. We haven't seen that in a while. So it seems that Pinhead has a protege of sorts. And we cut back to the damn family just when it was starting to get interesting. There's a reason why I always mention the point where Pinhead shows up. Good Hellraiser movies have the sense to save him for later. I guess the creators of this movie knew that it couldn't stand on its own, or maybe the studio demanded that he show up sooner. So it took what should have been 1 or 2 scenes with the Cenobites and diced them up so they could pepper it throughout the first half. Anyway, Steven's dad has gotten his gun, and Nico's dad made sure all the doors were locked, and after some conversation, we're back to the Cenobites again. It looks like whenever Pinhead in training gets a new piece of skin,
Birth is pain.
Pinhead nails it to his skull, which is interesting.
Each new square of flesh ranges you further from the flaccid existence you knew before.
And oh god, Pinhead's costume. Again, it's a lot to unpack, and I'll save the details about that for later. Either way, looks like he had fun with that. Back to the families, Emma just whips out the puzzle box right in front of them.
Is that the thing Nico was playing with in the video?
Yeah, it is.
It opens. I can just figure it out.
Okay, in pretty much all the other movies we've seen, that is not how you move it to get the Cenobites to show up. Hell just kind of melds with the real world. At least we get an early glimpse at female Chatterer. And then it just stops.
What was that? Where's Steven? Oh, where is he?
Okay, there was a point to that after all. Oh, I take it back. He just went outside.
Steven?
They're coming. That vagrant called the Cenobites.
So he tells them about how they got the puzzle box from a vagrant, and then we flash back to when they got the puzzle box from a vagrant. I was about to complain about them telling instead of showing, but doing both is even worse.
As a form of ultimate arousal. What, like sex? It's better than sex.
God, don't remind me of Hellraiser 3.
Relax, baby. This is better than sex.
We've reached the sequels that are worse than Hellraiser 3, so it just makes me wish I was watching that.
This will take you beyond the limits. Sensual pain. Pain? What, like bondage and shit?
I mean, kind of?
How can we experience ultimate pleasure without experiencing ultimate pain?
I could do that just fine. He has an interesting way of explaining the puzzle box, though.
How many people have you known who've come close to death? Every day for them is the best day ever. Every sensation, a symphony. That's what this does.
This makes me wonder. We sometimes see people selling the puzzle box to someone. How do they know what it does? How many of these people experienced it and came back like Frank did, only managed to stay here? And how many of those people would still consider it a positive experience that they would recommend to others? The only case that really makes sense is in Hellseeker, where the seller is Pinhead in disguise. By the way, I missed it when I covered that movie, but that's Doug Bradley. I didn't recognize him in that wig, and it's uncredited. So it's definitely Pinhead. Yeah, I know there's probably a lot of lore about the lament configuration that these people have heard, and they're going on hearsay. Just a thought I had.
That's what they offer. Who? The Cenobites.
The what?
Angels, conductors, surgeons, and more.
You forgot to mention the demons part. I guess that's what "and more" refers to.
The box.
Steven starts to get curious.
How does it work?
Nico asks how much he's selling it for.
It's yours already, Nico. It always was.
Now we're back to what happened with Nico. He seems obsessed with it.
That homeless fuck really creeped me out.
It's just a puzzle. Prize is probably 2 free passes to the donkey show.
He sure is interested in that donkey show, isn't he?
Interspecies erotica, bucko.
But now Steven is about ready to go home, so Nico gives him crap about it.
You're weak. You always were. You let your parents cut your balls off at every single turn.
Anyway, he eventually gets Steven to film. We see the same scene again, but now we're not just seeing the found footage. Oh, there's the hooks. Poor Nico's mom really wants to know what happened to him, but Steven gives a vague answer.
He didn't want to come back. He wanted to stay.
Apparently Steven was with a hooker afterwards. I love that he's apparently just telling his parents all about this.
Kill her, Steven.
Then he heard a voice.
Kill me, Steven. It's the only way. Kill her.
And so he killed her. Yeah, really both of these guys are the Frank XB in the hedonism department, but it's literal with Nico because we're repeating Frank's story here, though his coming out of the mattress is reminiscent of Julia. I guess this is where Nico died.
Her blood brought me back. Bring me more.
They really kind of gloss over his return and first victim, don't they? The original Hellraiser had a scene where Frank regenerated, then another scene where he revealed himself to Julia and asked for her help, then yet another scene where she brought a guy home, and that's when you finally see what he does to the victims. Here, Steven has already brought someone home to Nico by accident, but still. And then he's like, hey, I'm back, I need more of this now. Like, it happens so quickly, and there's no mystery at all about what's happening. No drawing it out to make you really think about all of this. It's just kind of thrown at you, almost like an afterthought.
They're coming. The Cenobites. They don't like to lose souls.
I guess he probably didn't tell them about that after all, and that was just a flashback because he was thinking about it. But the way that played out was kind of confusing.
They want to experience your flesh.
Okay. So they put Steven to bed as Emma looks up Cenobites in the dictionary, it looks like. I guess they don't have internet access either.
Okay. A member of a religious group living together in a monastic community.
What?
But yeah, Cenobite is a real word, you just don't hear it outside of the Hellraiser franchise that much. It's kind of neat that they acknowledge that here. Meanwhile, Steven has a flashback of female chatterer cutting the skin off his face while chattering in his ear. It's pretty graphic, actually. I guess I have to give this movie credit for bringing gore back to the franchise. We've hardly seen any skinless people since Hellraiser 3.
Pain and pleasure indivisible.
Okay, that was stupid. Frank said that line in the first movie.
Pain and pleasure indivisible.
But he was explaining to Julia what happened when he opened the box. He didn't just randomly say it like, this is what I'm feeling right now while being tortured.
It's all right, Steven.
He doesn't even remember going outside, but his dad asks him what the box is for.
Why do you want it so badly?
I don't know. Promise you'll help me.
We're gonna get through this. Whatever you need, we're gonna take care of.
I'm sure he'll be fine. So we're just about at the halfway point, so I'm going to stop here. If you haven't seen this movie yet and want to, be sure to do that before watching part 2. For what it's worth, I'm not yet convinced that it's worse than Hellworld, but we'll see.